Imagine a strategic bomber so loud that submarine sonar operators can hear it while it's flying 30,000 feet above the ocean. It's a relic of the 1950s, held together by millions of rivets and powered by propellers that spin faster than the speed of sound. This is the Tu-95, known to NATO as the Bear. It's the only propeller-driven strategic bomber still in service today, a screaming giant that has patrolled the edges of American airspace for 7 decades. It was built to drop hydrogen bombs on Washington, but today it's a digital platform for long-range cruise missiles that can strike from 1,000 miles away. Today, we're going inside the vibrating cockpit of the most terrifying turboprop ever made to see why the Bear is the undying ghost of the Cold War, and why, even 70 years later, it is the one aircraft that still forces US Air Force pilots to scramble their jets every single week. The origin of the Tu-95 is a story of pure Soviet stubbornness. In the 1950s, while the West was moving toward pure jet engines for bombers like the B-52, Andrei Tupolev realized that early jets were too thirsty for fuel. He wanted a bomber that could fly from Moscow to New York and back without stopping. His solution was radical: 4 massive Kuznetsov NK-12 turboprop engines. These are the most powerful turboprop engines ever built, each producing 15,000 horsepower. They didn't just give the Bear incredible range, they gave it a voice that can be heard for hundreds of miles. Engineering the Bear required a masterpiece of contra-rotating technology. Each engine drives 2 sets of propellers spinning in opposite directions. These tips spin so fast they break the sound barrier, creating a constant sonic boom that vibrates the entire fuselage. This is why the Tu-95 is the loudest aircraft on the planet. Western fighter pilots who intercept the Bear describe the vibration as so intense it rattles their own cockpit instruments. It's not just a plane, it's an acoustic weapon. The cockpit of the Bear is a journey back in time. While the B-52 has been modernized with digital screens, the Tu-95 remains a sanctuary of heavy switches, analog dials, and raw mechanical force. There are no ejection seats for most of the crew. If something goes wrong, they have to crawl to a hatch and slide out into the freezing air. It's an ergonomic nightmare where the crew has to fight the noise, the vibration, and the cold for missions that can last over 20 hours. One of the most famous early tests of the Bear involved the delivery of the Tsar Bomba, the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated. In 1961, a modified Tu-95 dropped a 50-megaton bomb that created a fireball 5 miles wide. The shockwave was so violent that the Bear plummeted 3,000 feet instantly, yet the airframe held together. This proved to the world that the Bear wasn't just a bomber, it was a rugged, indestructible delivery system for the end of the world. When the Bear officially entered service, it was a high-altitude predator, but it proved to be a digital sponge. Over the decades, it evolved from a simple gravity bomber into a maritime patrol craft and finally into the Tu-95MS, a cruise missile carrier. It proved that a great airframe doesn't need to be stealthy or fast if it can carry enough firepower to stay out of reach. It is the ultimate proof that old doesn't mean obsolete in the world of strategic warfare. The Bear's legendary status was forged during the long, lonely patrols over the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. During the Cold War, the Tu-95 became the primary tool for shadowing American aircraft carrier groups. This is the cat-and-mouse game of the Bear's history. It would fly thousands of miles just to circle a U.S. Navy fleet, forcing the Americans to scramble F-4 Phantoms or F-14 Tomcats to escort it away. For decades, the sight of a Bear's massive tail fin was the primary symbol of the Soviet threat. The flight was a masterpiece of endurance. The Bear can stay in the air for 15 hours without refueling, and with aerial refueling, it can stay up for a day or more. One of the Intercept pilots recalled that the Bear's crew would sometimes hold up magazines or food to the window, smiling at the Western pilots while the engine screamed between them. It was a high-stakes psychological game where the Bear was the constant, unblinking eye of the Kremlin, watching every move of the Western world. When they reached the edges of Alaska or the North Sea, the Bears would test the reaction times of NATO air defenses. Even today, the U.S. Air Force and the Royal Air Force scramble jets hundreds of times a year to intercept these screaming giants. The world woke up to a new reality in the 2000s. The retired Bear was back, and it was patrolling with a new level of aggression. It remains the most intercepted aircraft in history, a persistent reminder that the era of strategic bombers never truly ended. This mission also proved the incredible reliability of the Mk-12 engines. Despite the vibration and the age, these engines are masterpieces of durability. They allow the Bear to cruise at speeds over 500 miles per hour, faster than many modern turboprop regional jets. This speed-to-efficiency ratio is why the Bear is still the most cost-effective way for Russia to project power across the globe, a feat that expensive jets struggle to maintain for long periods. The success of the Bear led to the creation of the Tu-142, the maritime version designed to hunt American nuclear submarines. Using its massive radar and sonar buoys, the Bear became the submarine's nightmare. This universal sentinel reputation is why the Tu-95 is still the backbone of Russia's long-range aviation. It is a machine that rewards patience and punishes complacency, a jet that turns every patrol into a strategic message to the world. The most dangerous job for the Bear today isn't dropping bombs, it's being a standoff launcher. This mission is pure, calculate and strike. The Bear's job is to fly to a launch point thousands of miles from the target and release a swarm of Kh-101 cruise missiles. These missiles are stealthy and smart, making the Bear a lethal predator that never even has to enter enemy air defense zones. It is a game of invisible arrows launched by a very visible, very loud giant. During recent conflicts, the Tu-95 has been used to conduct long-range strikes against infrastructure with surgical precision. Pilots shared stories of flying 10-hour missions just to release a payload and turn around before ever seeing a single enemy fighter. Because the Bear can carry up to 8 of these massive missiles on external pylons and more in its internal bay, it provides a level of saturation that is almost impossible to defend against. It is a mechanical hammer in a world of digital scalpels. The Bear also holds a unique record for acoustic detection. Since its engines are so loud, it is the only aircraft that can be tracked by undersea hydrophones designed to listen for submarines. This is a terrifying fact, the Bear vibrates the very water beneath it. Despite this, it remains a deadly backup because its weapons have more range than the sensors trying to find it. The Bear's real fangs are no longer its guns, but the digital intelligence of its long-range missiles. In the 1990s, many thought the Tu-95 was a joke, a relic of a failed empire. But the airframe was so rugged that Russia realized it was better to keep the Bear than to build a stealth bomber. They praise its simple maintenance, its huge payload, and its ability to operate from rough runways. For the modern Russian Air Force, the Bear is a strategic bridge that allows them to maintain global reach on a budget, proving once again that the Bear is a survivor of the highest order. The psychological impact of the Bear is its menacing presence. When a Bear is detected off the coast of California or the United Kingdom, it makes international news. It is a machine that owns the headlines. Whether it's conducting a routine patrol or a combat strike, the Tu-95 provides a level of intimidation that few modern jets can match. It is the grandfather of the sky that every NATO pilot wants in their logbook, a machine that turned outdated tech into absolute dread. The final analysis of the Tu-95 is a story of ultimate industrial survival. It proved that a simple idea, a massive turboprop with incredible range, was more resilient than the most advanced jets of the 60s. The Bear established the blueprint for what a strategic sentinel should be, a rugged, reliable platform that can stay in the air forever. It has outlived its designers, outlived the country that built it, and remains the benchmark for long-range endurance. The legacy of the Bear can be seen in the new Tu-95 MSM configuration. The newest version features a new glass cockpit, upgraded engines, and a digital backbone that allows it to fight in the age of satellite warfare. The Kremlin realized that the Bear is so efficient that it is better to keep upgrading them than to try and replace them. It is a machine that refused to become a relic, evolving into a standoff sniper that will likely fly until the 2040s. Looking toward the future, the Bear is being integrated into Russia's new reconnaissance strike network. It is being tested as a carrier for hypersonic weapons, which would make the slow Bear the fastest-hitting threat in the world. The Tu-95 is no longer just a bomber, it's a mobile launch pad for the next generation of global warfare. It is a machine that continues to lead the way, proving that its airframe is still one of the most perfect balances of fuel and fire ever conceived. The cultural legacy of the Tu-95 is one of unapologetic strength. It is the plane of the Cold War posters, the plane of the endless patrols, and the plane of every Western interceptor's career. For the men who fly it, the Bear is an iron beast, a machine that requires raw muscle to control. It is a symbol of a nation's determination to never be ignored, a machine that turned the propeller into a permanent law of the strategic battlefield. Standing next to a Bear today, you feel its massive, vibrating, and incredibly purposeful presence. It looks like a tool built for one thing, the long-range pursuit of global influence. It doesn't look like a relic of the 50s, it looks like a craft that belongs in a future where endurance and payload are the only things that matter. From the nuclear dawn of the past to the cruise missile strikes of today, the Tu-95 has remained the ultimate tool of Eastern power. It is the machine that ensures the sky remains loud, turning heavyweight logic into a permanent guarantee of global tension. The Tu-95 Bear is more than a strategic bomber, it is a 400,000-pound guarantee of global reach. It proved that in the modern era, the most important armor is the ability to stay in the air longer and launch from further than anyone else. It is a masterpiece of noise, vibration, and absolute mechanical grit that redefined the nature of strategic power itself. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the history of the Bear. Is the Tu-95 the most terrifying plane ever built, or is it just a loud dinosaur waiting for the end? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe as we continue to explore the fire and steel of history. Peace out.